Hello everybody, Lawrence Fleming here. It is getting very close to our next major watch on the 15th. I am going to try to broadcast live. I'll do a test tomorrow night, and then we'll broadcast on Saturday. I know that's the 14th, but the Jewish calendar goes from evening till evening. So if we're going to get into the 15th, we need to be in the night before and possibly the night after. It's most likely that this is going to happen at night for two reasons. One, there are a number of hours ahead of us. So when our evening gets here, it's their daylight. So that would mean it would be possible for something to happen there in Jerusalem in the daytime, and we're asleep or watching if we stay awake. Okay, today, if we had any ability to have any righteous anger over why all this is happening, who can we blame? Do we blame God? We're going to take a look at Job here in a little bit and find out that despite everything going on, he didn't blame God. The real culprit, of course, is Lucifer, or more modern name, Satan. You don't want to fight him. You don't want to do anything with him at all. Michael the archangel, who is one of God's most powerful, avoids him. Up until the final battle, he avoids him, because it won't be pleasant. It's possible that when we go to heaven, we might join the army up there to help throw him out, because he's still got many of his angels up there too. Okay, well, let's see if we can learn just a little bit about him. Again, these are short videos, so I could spend hours on him, especially if we talk about all the things that he's done. Let's turn to Isaiah 14:12, and the heading is the fall of Lucifer. And we're going to also talk about who he is. What kind of a creature is he? Verse 12. How you have fallen from heaven, Lucifer, son of the morning. There's the name. How you were cut down to the ground. You who weaken the nations, for you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will also sit on the mount of congregation on the farther sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet you shall be brought down to Sheol, to the lowest depths of the pit. Those who see you will gaze at you and consider you, saying, is this the man who made the earth tremble, who shook the kingdoms, who made the world as a wilderness and destroyed its cities, who did not open the house of the prisoners? All the kings of the nations, all of them, sleep in glory, every one in their own house. But you are cast out of your grave like an abomination, like the garment of those who are slain, thrust through with a sword, who will go down to the stones of the pit, like a corpse trodden underfoot. You will not be joined with them in burial, because you have destroyed your land and slain your people. This is not a nice guy. He has basically let his power go to his head. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely perfect example. Now, who is Lucifer? When the Bible uses the term sons of God, they're talking about creatures that were created by God. Jesus is a son of God, because he was created by God, not by man. He's also a cherubim, the most powerful angel made by God. Cherubim are pictured on top of the ark, guarding the ark. When he locked up the Garden of Eden, he put cherubim outside to make sure nobody got in. I've said many times that Archangel Michael won't even fight Satan. Every time they get in any kind of a confrontation, he just defers them to God, at least until Revelation, where the battle is fought in heaven to get rid of him. Then Michael will lead that. I don't know that he's afraid of him, but I think he's following orders. So he's avoiding him. Satan he's called the most beautiful angel ever. And we're going to read here in a little bit a king who is compared to Satan. This king is going to be destroyed as Satan will be destroyed. So let's go ahead and turn over there. Ezekiel 28, verse 11. Let's go ahead and start reading there. Moreover, the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Son of man, take up lamentation for the king of Tyre, and say to him, Thus saith the Lord, you were the seal of, past tense, you were the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You were in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was your covering. The sardius, topaz, and diamond, beryl, onyx, and jasper, sapphire, turquoise, and emerald with gold. The workmanship of your timbrels and pipes were prepared for you on the day you were created. That's a mighty adornment. This is basically, again, comparing this king to Satan. You were the anointed cherub who covers. I will establish you, and you were the holy mountain of God. You walked back and forth in the midst of fiery stones. You were perfect in your ways from the day you were created, till iniquity was found in you. By the abundance of your trading you became filled with violence within, and you sinned. Therefore I cast you as a profane thing out of the mountain of God. I will destroy you, O covering cherub, from the midst of the firing stones. Your heart was lifted up because of your beauty. You corrupted your wisdom for the sake of splendor. I cast you to the ground. I laid you before kings, that they may gaze on you. The king's in for trouble, and Satan's in for trouble. He knows everything that's in this book, especially the things written about him. So none of the things coming are going to surprise him. He may think he can beat God because he is powerful. And granted, on earth, he's the most powerful being ever. And when Adam handed him the key to the earth, he became the ruler of it. And that's why we have all the trouble we have. God is using him to give us a choice. You say, why would God allow somebody like this? Because there is a choice. God is pure love. He cannot punish us the way we need to be punished. He has this mad dog over here that can do that for him. He has limitations, and we're going to see that in Job, that even when God gives him permission to do something, he puts a limit on it. Now, the problem that we've got coming up, for which we need a rapture for, is he's going to turn over the whole earth to Satan and tell him to do whatever you want. There may be some limitations that we can talk about, but they're minimal compared to what's going to happen. Let's turn over to Job. We're not sure who wrote Job. It might have multiple authors. Some think it might be Moses, some Solomon. Because the text changes from end to middle, that it might actually have multiple authors. It's a story, call it a parable if you will. We assume that all parables are based on fact somewhere, and we're pretty confident that this man does exist or did exist, but he wouldn't be anywhere near Jerusalem. It says he's from the east, but he doesn't mention anything about anything local that we can associate to. He does believe in God. He does do sacrifices. Where he got that, I don't know, but he's not anywhere near the Holy Land. The east could be Iran. It could be China. We don't know. But this person was well off, initially very well off, and as we've talked before, Satan has access to heaven, access to God. And he talked to God. The most evil creature on the face of the earth talks to God. He's not better than God by any means, but he thinks he is. Okay, let's start with Job 1 just to kind of get an introduction. There was a man in the land of Uz. And they think, like I said, Uz is, they probably couldn't say the word if it's a different language, but that would be their abbreviation. A land that would be not unlike any other land, but a foreigner. But God is everywhere. All right, I had a battery failure that's been fixed. So we're talking about the man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job, and that man was blameless and upright, and one who feared God and shunned evil. And he had 7 sons and 3 daughters. They were born to him. Also his possessions were 7,000 sheep, that's a lot, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 female donkeys, and a very large household. That means servants. So he had a big house with lots of servants and lots of possessions. He was a rich man. So that this man was the greatest of all the people of the East. Again, we don't know where, but. And his sons would go and feast in their houses, each on his appointed day. So they had a revolving dinner. They'd go to each one's house. And they would send and invite their sisters to eat and drink with them. So it was when the days of the feasting had run their course that Job would send and sanctify them. He would raise early in the morning and offer burnt offerings according to the number of them. For Job said, "It may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." Thus Job did this regularly just to protect them. Now, there was a day when the sons of God are angels. Anything created by God is considered a son of his. We know the big son, Jesus, but all the angels are sons of God. The sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. And the Lord said to Satan, "From where do you come?" God's omnipresent. He already knows all this. He's just trying to get Satan to own up to what he's been doing. So Satan answered the Lord and said, "From going to and fro on the earth, back and forth," he can go from heaven to earth, back and forth, anytime he wants, "and from walking back and forth on it." Then the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is none like him on earth, a blameless and upright man who fears God and shuns evil." we've never really heard about anyone other than Abraham or Abram that was favored it this way. So Job was a favored man of God. So Satan answered him, casual conversation with the evilest creature on the earth. So Satan answered the Lord and said, does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not made a hedge around him, around his household, and around all that he has on every side? Have you blessed his work, the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land? Now stretch out your hand and touch all that he has, and he will surely curse you and your face. And the Lord said to Satan, behold, all that he has is in your power, but do not lay a hand on the person. So Satan went out of the presence of the Lord. Satan can go into the presence of the Lord and argue that we should be punished, we should be destroyed. He can do that. You'd think God would say, get out of here, I don't need to hear from you. He will, and just not yet. Okay, I'm going to summarize here. Job loses everything he's got. His family, his possessions, everything. He rips his clothes off, covers himself in ashes, and says, I came into this world naked, I'll go out naked. But he didn't curse God. Satan continues on. He eventually makes him sick, and he gets boils and all this. And his friends are saying, no help at all. His friends are saying, you must have done something to deserve this. Not knowing anything about the discussion in heaven. And of course he hadn't. And things kept getting worse until finally he couldn't take it anymore. We do have a limit. And at least God found Job's limit. And he promised he would never do this again. He would never test us beyond our limit. So we're told we will never be tempted beyond what we can endure. So if we're in temptation, you have a way out. You just have to look for it. If you want to put your eyes up, and blinders up, and not look for it, that's your business, but you have a way out. Now, Satan will tempt you until he's gone, but you have a way out. So this is who is causing all the trouble. He, over the years, has been creating his own little world, taking over pieces and bits and pieces of it. The good people have been trying to keep control. But the problem that we have, and it's something that I need to ask God why he did it this way. He's here to test us. Satan is. Give us a choice. So that way, when we do choose Jesus and choose God, we're honestly picking him, and not like Job was protected. Well, we are protected. Satan can't do anything. Not anymore, unless we allow it. Not even God is punishing us this way. We allow Satan to punish us if we're being punished. If we're being tempered to strengthen us, that's God. Anything good comes from God, anything bad comes from Satan. It's very black and white. But we can allow Satan into our lives. He can't come into our body because we're the temple of God, but he can affect our surroundings. He can affect people that we deal with. He can cause your car to break down. There's all kinds of things. Now, I'm not saying that we can manipulate every little instance that happens in our lives, but there's so much going on behind the scenes that we haven't a clue of. None whatsoever. That's why we have to follow God and trust him. Trust and obey, there's no other way. If we don't trust him, we open ourselves up for problems. So this big bad Lucifer becomes Satan, but he still has access to God. Now that's going to end in Revelation. There's going to be a mighty war in heaven. And it's possible, it may be that we're going to go up to help with that. I don't know. Or it may be that we're going to be removed from the earth Because when he gets thrown down to earth, he's going to be mad. And at some point in time, God's going to say, the earth is yours, just don't do something. There'd be a limit, but otherwise he'd just wipe everybody out. But all the things that are going to happen are because of this evil creation. And all that evil is available to each and every one of us if we take our eyes off of God. Never take your eyes off of God. The loving Father who gave His Son for us, to do anything for us except let us be taken over by Satan and destroyed. So trust Him. As we wait, trust God. Don't give up. Paul said, I finished the race. His final words. It was a race to him to get as many people saved as possible. And it should be the same for us. We are running out of time. We're hoping and praying that it's as soon as it possibly can be, but we don't know. Not knowing the day or the hour has purely to do with the second coming. The rapture has really nothing that we can discern from it. I keep saying this and I'll say it again. If we know, Satan knows, and we're in danger. So, we're not going to guess it. I mean, somebody may be lucky, but Satan knows these are all guesses. There's nothing out there that we're going to discern. So we have to be ready. Have your lamps filled with oil. Okay? Till we meet in the clouds. God bless. Look at that beauty. I wanted to be able to show you a deer. I see him every day, but I can never catch him on camera.